This is Secrets to Win Big, your roadmap to sustained growth. Brought to you by Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. Find him at zenmango.com. And now, here's your host, Arjun Sen.
Welcome to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen. Hi. Today, this one conversation I have been planning and waiting for a long time. Andrew Robbins has been an amazing friend and an inspiration. Just to go a little bit in Andrew's background, Andrew is a rocket scientist turned business visionary. He's the co-founder and CEO of Paytronix Systems, a customer experience platform for restaurants and convenience stores. Over the past 20 plus years, Andrew and his team have made big impact for brands worldwide in customer experience technology and loyalty programs, designing solutions that are tailored and relevant to each individual customer. He is one of the most respected thought leaders at the intersection of loyalty, CRM, order and delivery, and AI. Andrew is a graduate of Princeton University, MIT, and Harvard Business School. But more importantly, anytime I ask anyone in the industry who knows Andrew, the words people talk about is brilliant mind, great leader, but the coolest friend to have around. Andrew, welcome to Secrets to Win Big.
Well, thanks for having me, Arjun. And if people could see me, they'd see me blushing. So that was too nice of an intro.
Absolutely, you earned it. So Andrew, let's talk about this incredible, fascinating journey you have. First and foremost, very deserved success in both academics and business. What is the one thing you're most proud of in this journey?
Yeah, I mean, generally, a lot of things come back to team and people and joint success at the company. And you know, and I think if I went back probably 10 years when we launched Panera Bread and their loyalty program, and that was the kind of the complexity of that, the shape and scale of that was so hard that it was a whole company effort. You know, everybody in the company helped figure things out, test things, set things up, because no one had done a loyalty program that was one-to-one, you know, where every single person was treated with a different loyalty program, a different cadence of rewards, messaging, and everything else. And so it was so hard. It was all of us. And when you share victory with others, you know, and I know you found that too, Arjun, it's just so much sweeter.
And, you know, the moment you talked about no one has done that before, it reminds me of a leader that both of us know and love and respect, Blaine Hurst. During my time working with Blaine, he would always tell me, instead of complaining about the hurdles being higher, be excited that you would be the first to cross that hurdle, and that will make you stronger. So on this Panera example, of course, this was a very unique, bigger challenge. So Andrew, as a team, as you guys overcame this one that no one has done before, how did that change the culture and the confidence of the team?
Yeah, I mean, it really changed things. Before then, you would get asked questions. And we're a very, you know the culture here, but maybe everybody listening does not. But we hire bright, curious, empathetic people. And one of the things about bright, curious, and empathetic people is that they're really thoughtful in a question, and they want to make sure they're honest with the answer. And so if someone says, "Are you sure you can handle our volume? Are you sure you're big enough?" Right? People would take a pause and go, "Are we? right? Because that's the kind of the makeup of the people. And so questions like that suddenly disappeared, because if you can do something for a public company, and because they were public, they announced that kind of the beauty of it is the analysts weren't sure it was making the money. So Ron Shaich every quarter had to just talk about the program, how many millions, there are 29 million people in the program, and it's earning us, 4% extra in total sales chain wide because we're running it. When he says those words, it's amazing. It takes away all doubt. It takes away any doubt. Are you scalable enough, secure enough, right, with people's data, complex enough, sophisticated enough, and it just disappeared. And people were walking around with huge pride that were associated with that. And everybody, like I said, when we got ready to go, everybody was involved in testing to make sure the program worked, and they could talk about it and show it to people. I mean, we do things where someone can download the Panera app and show their parents, right? And how exciting is that? I'm just out of college, and I get a software job with Paytronix or customer service job launching, and you go, we did this. Hey, mom, we did this. And that kind of bragging that someone can touch and feel and use is wonderful to help grow culture.
And there are two aspects of this. It really hits home. One is, every individual taking part in it, feeling how his or her fingerprints impacted this and taking pride to share. The second is, part of me was freaking out by thinking that, wow, Panera putting your scorecard literally publicly on Times Square, like that's how big this is, which means every success will be broadcast and every failure will be broadcast too. And I'm so glad that with the process, everything you guys were so hugely successful. And I really think that is such a fascinating way to look at it, is how the numbers, everything in the big opportunity was put in front of the whole world. So I want to take a step beyond, is, as you talked about, this is a journey no one had done before, which means when the project came in, everybody must be looking at you and the core team by saying, what's the vision? How do we get vision clarity? So what's the success to get the team excited about the vision that we can do what others have not?
Yeah, so, when we first started the company, the vision was around being at the intersection of loyalty, convenience, and payment. And if you could be at that intersection, because at payment, people identified who they were. And if you could make life a little bit more convenient, someone would opt in to giving you their email address or, downloading an app or something like that. And then from that, we could generate loyalty in their behavior. And what was good for the consumer, they always vote. If you take care of the consumer, they always vote by just coming back and visiting more frequently and spending money with you. And so that was the vision. And we bootstrapped the company. And as you know, for starting Zen Mango, you have to have tight focus, right? You're constrained by cash. And where do I put the next body? And so that gave us the discipline to say no to things and yes to other things. And certainly part of the Panera was going to be saying no to a whole bunch of other people, right? Like while we digested and launched them, we needed to say no to some other stuff that we could have done. But everybody was all in because they realized that we were, taking a giant catapult forward in what we were going to be capable of doing. And if you think about the guest again, the ultimate, if you could get to the relevancy, where it's truly one-to-one, where you feel like I'm talking to you directly and listening to you, and I'm listening, right? I'm learning based on what you do. A lot of things that they were looking to do were things that were part of what we had originally dreamed of doing. And, little things like early on, we can ask all these custom questions in registration. We're like, why don't we ask dietary preference, right? Why don't we ask? And then based on dietary preference, could you change the reward and even the registration reward? So if someone said, I'm low sugar, don't give them a donut, right? And that was one of those things that we would have collaborative sessions with Panera, and they were blown away, like that we could do that type of thing, take instant information and instantly change it, right? Because I'm not talking to you or listening to you if I ask you a question that I immediately don't act on the information.
And that's more hurtful. Like if I told you I am, diabetic, and next you put the donut in front of me, it's hurtful that you were not even listening. You ignored me. I love that.
Yeah, like seriously, that question was so important. You still gave me the donut. Yeah. So that part was fun, but again, it gets back to what you were saying about vision and are you aligned with vision? Because sometimes you get someone and people go, oh, we're doing it because they're a big customer, right? Oh, we're doing it for the money, right? And or is it we're doing it because they're aligned with where we always wanted to go anyway, and they're just going to help us get there faster. And it always helps if you can. And sometimes you maneuver a customer to head that way. You maneuver them toward the cool things that you always wanted to do, and that's good for both of you.
And just to prove a point that I'm actually listening, there were two things that really hit home. One is you talked about the depth of vision, where you showed me, and rest of us listening, is relevancy means you actually, truly are listening to that person, listen and learn, and then immediately processing it into actions. I love that part. And the second part is the art of saying no. And this is the part where I would digress a little bit. During COVID times, for a small business like ours, things were bad. Most days, 0 would have been a great performance. Minuses were bad. My wife one day asked me by saying, why are you going after low-hanging fruit? And it just hit home because many a time businesses, when we get desperate, we go after the things we should say no to. She even explained to me in layman's terms that if you eat the low-hanging fruit, you don't have appetite for anything else. And I just realized that at that moment is success doesn't come from low-hanging fruit just because it says in business books. There are times you need to resist the low-hanging fruit, say no to it, and go for the fruit on the higher branch. Of course, should not fall. But that, I think, was a great advice on both sides, is say no, but also the depth, which is the individual listening and going beyond.
Yeah. And I also love, you're bringing up that sometimes the simplest truths come back to you from your family. And I know, you're bringing up, your wife asked you just a really simple question. And sometimes only your family can do that. And I know you have that relationship with your daughter too. That's just brilliant that it's a simple question, right? Why are you going for low-hanging fruit? And it just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
And absolutely. And with a family, you cannot BS your way by saying the 3 reasons I'm doing it. And they'll look at you by saying, come on, you don't have to answer this question. That's okay. But I think you cannot fake it with family. And that's the reason those family moments are huge. Okay. So, from vision, I want to take it to action, because in the business world, a lot of companies do an amazing job pitching, promising. But at the end, clients come back because of results and sustained long-term results, which can be repeated. So how do you take vision ideas to success where the rubber meets the road? What is your secret to making that happen over and over again at Paytronix?
I'm not sure I have a secret to it, and I know I've made hundreds of mistakes for sure along the way. It really helps if you can be disciplined to say no. And because focus, like you want to be great at something, you need time, right? You need to, and you need focus. And to focus at some level, you have to say no to all sorts of ideas so that you can say yes to fewer things and really be good. And I think the other is we always had an agile mindset, and people talk about agile in software, where you talk about minimal viable product and work in sprints. And we really worked on a weekly basis. Like every week was, what are we going to do this week? Because you can't, if weeks go by and stuff doesn't get done, you never get the time back. And that's the other secret. If you say no to stuff, the stuff you say yes to, the faster you do it. Even if you fail and throw it out and go for the next thing, the faster your company is successful. So now, probably had a failing there because I think we probably were, on brand promise, you don't want to lose the brand promise where you promise too much in vision, and then you don't deliver. And that's really tough on clients, and it's tough on the rest of the company because, you said it would do this. And so we really tried to make sure that we only sold what we could really do. And that if we were going to expand out in a certain area, that the promise in that area was well understood. And we did only a few promises at a time. So we might promise a new area to a couple customers to make sure, we succeeded in the next couple months, and then digest that and offer it to all clients.
How do you build a culture around this where every leader in the organization takes the onus and not get defensive when a client is at crisis?
Yeah. Wow. So you just need great people. I mean, at the end of the day, that can do that. I would say, we hire the bright, curious, empathetic. That super helps, right? Because the empathetic person and curious person doesn't get defensive immediately. Because one of the things that's a killer is if you get defensive and say your fault. Because if I say that, oh, wait a second, the Zoom's at the wrong time, Arjun. It wasn't in my calendar. You did, mountain time or something different. You're not going to work with me to solve the problem. So you can't get defensive. And to not get defensive, you have to have the mindset, and you also can't beat people up. So if you bring the news back, hey, this bad thing happened. If the first thing the rest of the company said, is it your fault? Did you make a mistake? Then that person never brings forward the problem. So you got to have that culture that you don't beat people up when you find bad news, and that you don't get defensive and start pointing fingers. There's plenty of time to do that after the fact, to point fingers. And generally, what Blaine was kind enough to say is generally there's plenty of blame to go around, that we're all in something in this together, and maybe there was a communication breakdown or a process breakdown or something that was tied to the problem.
So Andrew, you talked about the success side. Are there things, as you all are implementing at a very rapid pace, many a time creating solutions that have not been there culturally or process-wise, that you try to avoid to keep everybody focused?
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting is a tension between process and deadlines, which is a really interesting problem, and that different people respond to different things. So sometimes we'll give a challenge, like right now, we have a really revolutionary thought, and we've been working so hard at taking it's a buzzword, artificial intelligence or machine learning, but figuring out how to apply it so that it's really powerful and easy to use. So, we talk relevance, and this particular thing is day of week. And it turns out that, as marketers in the restaurant industry, there kind of works on a calendar cadence. It's August. I should be doing a back to school, right? So people are going to be doing a back to school type promotion right now in May, June, moms, dads, and grads, things like that. So you have a great idea, but when should it go out? Like, should it go out Thursday or Friday? And it turns out we can predict the best day of week for you. And if I get your day right, if you're a Monday person, if we send it Monday versus Thursday, you're 52% more likely to act on it. Now, that's crazy. Like, that much better by just picking the best day for you personally. And it gets back to relevancy. So we're putting this in our product right now. And on process, you don't want anything to go out that isn't well tested, safe, and all those things. But you also, if you don't have deadlines, people don't strive, work hard enough, have the focus, right? So if that's important, we should have more people work on it. And getting the tension right between, for a software company, process, do it well, high quality, no errors, versus deadline driven. And there's a bit of a balance there, so that people don't get the wrong message. And you have to have good people that can understand the two languages. And you find that many people want the deadline challenge, as long as you back it up by making sure they follow the process.
You talked about technology. You are at the leading edge of where technology goes or is going. And a lot of businesses, small, medium, large, are looking at you and your team's decision, which paths to avoid or which paths to take. How do you take that responsibility, and how do you make decisions on where to go, where not to go?
Yeah. So, and that's an interesting. Now you got me nervous. Like, all the responsibility we have for the direction that people are going. We at one level, the heroes of the story are the marketing, digital engagement, and IT teams in the restaurants that we work with, right? They're really the heroes, because at the end of the day, they implement our tech in really creative, fun ways that are great for their brands. And we're always mindful of that we're powering a tool set that lets them be the heroes, right? And that is really important. And then there's a balance from listening to customers and also projecting forward a vision. So, and we do this with our user conference, which you were kind enough to speak at twice for us. You held a session, and you presented on the having heart, which was fantastic. So we use that as a mechanism, and also strategic business reviews. So we'll do top to tops with the leaders of different restaurant chains, and we have a balance between better, what's going well today, where can we be better, what do we need to do short term to make you happy, and here's our vision, right? And then sometimes they hear the vision and they yawn. You gotta, right? And if you can read the room, you're like, whoa, hold on a second. I think this is big. Like, this is $1 billion idea. And they go, and whatever they tell you, they could be priceless, or no one's ever going to do it because, I remember someone saying, no one's ever going to do that because it doesn't fit in the marketing calendar. No one's going to ever do that because it won't show ops that marketing is working. We need times when they run out of cups, where we do a fountain drink challenge and they literally run out of cups because that's the only time they know marketing, move the needle, right?
Yes.
And so, and that's insightful. And then you go, oh, tech has to get adopted. It doesn't matter how good an idea we have. If we can't make it so someone goes, ooh, that's really neat, but can I apply it? And so we get that kind of feedback. Or it would be cool if, could I also do like those types of things? And that tells us that we're kind of heading in the right direction, but it always helps if we can throw forward. Like right now, AI is a huge thing for us and how to apply it. We're trying to really dumb it down to, very specific areas where and we can show people the computer does it better than a human does. And the other, I'm really intrigued with voice and voice ordering and working with Amazon Alexa and, ordering from your car. And so we'll talk about these ideas with people to make sure we're heading in the right direction, but it helps to have that to throw out where we're going, because it's easier for people to edit than create, right? Like if I say, here's an idea, edit it, boy, will I get great comments. If I say, where do you think we should be going? Suddenly no one can give me an answer.
And, and what I love is the parallel between the end customer and the client experience. With the end customer, you started by talking about how it is very important to actually listen and learn. You're doing the same thing with your clients, where you're actually doing a listen, learn, and a conversation. And the second is, in the consumer side, we have a saying that consumers cannot tell you what to do, they can only react. And you put the same thing with clients too, is it's easy to edit an idea, not just clients, but within an organization, than to create. And I love the parallel because for you to be successful with the end customer, you also have to do the same with your clients. Love that. So now let's go ahead, please.
No, you got it. I mean, I think that's and we have lots of painful lessons where, we forgot to do the listening and can you actually implement it? And then, sometimes things were just too hard.
Yeah. And one of the things also when you were talking about is simplifying. Recently, I was talking to an amazing consultant working with one of the big brands, and she taught me this fascinating concept. She said, Arjun, thinking big ideas are very important. But if you can't communicate in a simple way, it doesn't work. So I said, hey, I've heard this before. Can you just tell me when I have arrived at a simple point? He said, when you feel underwhelmed. I just love that. And she explained to me that you are coming with a lot of thinking. You've thought about this for 2 weeks. The other person is clueless about where you're going. So your communication has to be underwhelming to you, which means you have arrived. And I have written it down on a Post-it note that going forward, Arjun will communicate in an underwhelming way. And that's success. I really learned.
That I love that. Right. It's got to be underwhelming. I'll give you another one.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know what's new.
Mm-hmm.
We have over and over again, and I do this all the time. I will talk about what's new that I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
The recipient, the person who asked the question, what's new? They want to know what's new for them. And it could be something we did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, but they don't know about it. It's totally relative to them, right? So I'm off talking about voice ordering or some nonsense, and really I should tell them something that is so underwhelming in terms of the newness It's new to them. And, that's curated information at the right level. Give me something that's new. They really want to say, give me a new idea that can help me now, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a huge lesson for all of us listening to this is sometimes we get excited when a question like this thrown at us. We feel it's like, now let me impress the person with everything new and wow, I'm working on. But as you pointed out, the question he or she is asking is not what is new and exciting you're working. What is new thing? What is the next new thing for me that will increase sales, do this? Like there's a functional side, but the next new thing for me. And I really think this is a huge thing in the learning how to listen and answer from the point of view of the listener, than just answer. So love that. Thanks for sharing this. That was fascinating learning from Andrew Robbins. But wait, there is more conversation with Andrew Robbins coming up in part 2 of Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen, in which Andrew shares how he builds teams, who are the leaders who have influenced him, and more importantly, how. And the part that I'm really excited about is what drives Andrew Robbins on a personal level. Excited about part 2.
You've been listening to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen, founder and CEO of Zen Mango, top brand growth driver, and a former Fortune 500 executive who has been called one of the most marketing intelligent minds in the business. To learn more, visit www.zenmango.com. Share this podcast with your friends and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.